Good evening. Thanks again for joining us for the Gwladys Beat. I'm joined tonight by Dawn and by Scott. You'll be very glad to see none of us are dressed in yellow. None of that transfer malarkey going on as the window is now shut. I'm not sure any of us, certainly me and Scott, couldn't carry yellow off. I don't know about Dawn. He's got a fair bit to talk about tonight. So we will be touching on the transfers. We'll have a look at what we're going to do in the next round of the FA Cup. But I suppose first and foremost, we'll start with the news from last weekend. It probably became a badly kept secret come Saturday morning, didn't it? But the appointment of, I won't call him Fat Frank anymore because he's ours, isn't he? It's only that when he played for Chelsea. So Mr. Lampard's joining the club. Reactions both?
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so, I just think it comes to a point with Rafa, hadn't it, where it just felt like it was never going to stop. There was never a win coming. I think I'd said on previous podcasts that I didn't fancy us against anyone, and I think everyone was sort of feeling the same, really, like that. He needed to get off somewhere, and it was probably a bit too late. But I think that with Frank coming, I much prefer the option of Frank than another older foreign manager, especially someone that's meant to be really good. I just think it might be the perfect timing for someone like Frank, or maybe not Duncan Ferguson just yet, but someone who's looking to make a statement. And I think the backroom team that he's bringing seems to be really good, and he's attracted a couple of players in, and he sounds good. I think I'm liking it more than I thought I would in anticipation, but maybe that it's just that's more of a relief. I can't wait to get to Goodison on Saturday, and I am looking forward to it. So I think it could be a good thing, but only time will tell. I am excited though.
Good. Dawn?
First of all, on the fat comment, I mean, after the fat Spanish waiter, even if he was a bit tubby, he wouldn't be fat, would he? The first thing is that Pereira, who was the other candidate, called Sky Sports. I mean, if he was in the running for the job, surely that lost him. I've got no clue. What it's like. Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And some of the things he was coming out with were exactly the words that Benitez said. But I was glad he did that to take himself out the running. But when I heard it was Lampard, I was a bit excited. Same thing as what Scott said before about we don't want another old foreign manager, particularly someone who's less well known. Anyone's a risk, aren't they? But Frank Lampard, did well with Derby. Got sacked too early at Chelsea, and he's in a position where he's got to prove himself, and he'll want to prove himself. So I'm really happy. I don't know about you, Nick.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I thought that phone call was just the level of embarrassment on it. It was like some desperate lad trying to get his bird back or something. It was just begging for it, and it was shocking. But it was just a pivotal moment, wasn't it? Because I think there was clearly some divisions within the club as to who was going to come in, and there was certainly some were in the Lampard camp and some were sat elsewhere. I think it looks like, certainly there was this linkage to this influential sort of agent pushing him. Well, he certainly gave him bad advice by going on Sky, because you're right, he just set himself up as what it was. But I think the points both of you made were the same for me. You look at it, and Benitez, people were going, he's won cups and trophies. He has a long time ago, and even Pereira trying to defend his, but his trophy winning days were a long time ago, and in the Portuguese league, with no disrespect, where it's a bit like Scotland, it's a couple of horse race every season. So no, it was exactly the right thing to bring somebody in with more current Premier League experience and knowledge to I think begin to tactically set us up a lot better.
I think as well, apparently the management style of Benitez isn't great in that not that if you're in that position, you need to have a good relationship with your players, don't you? But there's obviously a fine line between being bezies and them knowing who the boss is. But apparently he had no good personal relationships, doesn't want to know you as a person. So if you think of, some players like Richarlison needs an arm round and needs someone telling him how good he is. Based on the interviews I've heard so far from Lampard, I think he's the guy to do that. And hopefully bring a bit more confidence back.
Were we glad it wasn't Rooney?
Yes.
You know what? That being said, though, Wayne Rooney's got to get a lot of credit for sticking it out there. So fair play to him, but I am glad it's not him. And you know what? I think Dawn's spot on about the management style and the personal relationships with the players, because I always think back to Ronald Koeman, and he might be a fantastic manager, but he just looks to me like he's got zero people skills. And I just think someone like Lampard, a current player, obviously doesn't play anymore, but a more relevant player in terms of when he last played and when he last won, and the players all know him. They all know him or know of him more recently, and I should imagine he'll be able to relate to the players, and they'll be looking to impress him because they know, he's not an old man and player. He was playing not so long ago, so you should imagine if they ask him, if he asks them to do something or do it a certain way or a way he wants them to play it, I know they should do that anyway. But I think especially with some of the younger players who've looked up to him as they were coming through, maybe he should be able to get a better reaction out of them, and they should hopefully want to prove themselves a bit more than they have.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, Dawn, you were hesitant about Rooney as well. A bit too early for him.
Yeah. I mean, for me at the moment at Everton, I've moaned about it before. It's too many jobs for the boys, and I think Rooney too early. Yeah, apparently he's doing a good job where he is, but it's like the Gerrard thing you come back to. He's done the right. He wants to manage Liverpool, and he's gone to Rangers, and now he's at Villa doing a good job again. I mean, I thought when we played them at our place, and when Ferguson was in charge the other week, he did the right job against us. He knew he knew the formation he'd play. He knew that Ferguson would play the atmosphere and the event rather than actually getting the business done. And I think, that's where Lampard should have the same knowledge and hopefully bring in the same things. But just on jobs for the boys, I do think it probably caused loads of murder now if they got rid of Ferguson now. But I do think at the end of the season he should leave. And so should the likes of Wandsworth, yeah. Do you think?
I mean, there was rumours, wasn't there? He was going to go. Sort of at the initial point of Lampard's being announced, there was instant and parallel stories that Duncan was off and going to try and ply his trade somewhere else. I think Sunderland was mooted at one particular time. So what are we saying? We think it probably is time that he cuts ties. He's seen 6 managers so far, hasn't he, at Goodison? Is it time he goes and proves himself as his own right?
Definitely. I'm not a Ferguson fan. I'm in the very small minority. He has seen off 6 managers, and he's been one of the common denominators the whole way through. And I'm not saying it's him. He could potentially be a bad egg. He might not be. It might not be anything to do with him. But if he wants to manage Everton in the future, then he needs to go and get a couple of jobs elsewhere and then come back, exactly like Gerrard.
Yeah, you know what? I do like him. Maybe not as a manager to take us forward. That interim thing he's done before has worked out, but I am so far gone now that I just think it's time for change, because the old way is not working, and especially more recently, I've got to a point where I just think, you know what, out with the old, in with the new, fresh faces, experienced backroom staff, good fellas who Lampard's obviously trusts. And I watched that little clip of them training, and they all looked a bit happier, looked like a weight's been lifted. So maybe it is time for Ferguson to go, because he has been there a long time, and whether the players like him or not, sometimes you've got to get outside your comfort zone. And if him being there is in their comfort zone, maybe it is time for them to go, because they reckon that's when you grow, when you get out there.
I think you're right. I think time will tell, but I think, if Duncan is serious now about beginning to craft his own career, I think just sitting next to another manager with a fairly large setup. I mean, he's brought the previous Derby County manager in, hasn't he? Real Madrid manager in as his number 2. So Duncan is moving further away from having a direct influence in this. I agree with both of you. I think it's probably
setting the cones up.
Yeah, it is. Now, who knows? He might be content with that, but I think he has got aspirations. And whilst Dawn made a really good point, he's, as much as he did raise the atmosphere of Villa, I thought some of his tactics were a bit naive. So I think it is time for the change, which hopefully then leads to changes on the pitch. Which, as the Lampard sort of name was pushed around, the Twitter universe and other bits and pieces were sort of insinuating that the managers being interviewed on Friday were being asked who they wanted at the same time. But like, give us your shopping list, isn't it, as you go there? So certainly Everton done a bit of work. Okay, we joked about the window being shut and such, but what's your opinions now it is shut? Good? Bad? Okay?
Are you waiting for me, Dawn?
I'm letting you go first.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you know what? I was a bit worried when we played Villa that the 2 young lads never got the chance in the starting lineup. But apparently Mikalenko had done something to his back. He weren't feeling great. And the young lad Patterson, maybe they're just letting him feel his way in first, because he is a young man. He has moved to a different city. It's all new surroundings. So maybe they just feel like he needs a bit more time to settle in. Maybe not to do with his ability. Just let him find his feet, get settled in first. Maybe, I don't know, but I should imagine that's what it is, because he does look a good player. As for Van der Beek and Dele Alli, I want to be as positive as I can. I was talking to my mate in work today, and I've been getting a bit of stick about Dele Alli coming on board. But players like Dele Alli, it's easy to think they're older than they are. The lad's only 25. It just feels like they've been around forever. And, it hasn't been the greatest time for Spurs. They've had a few different managers, and it might have been that Pochettino got the best out of him. I seen he sort of gave a big thanks to Pochettino's time there in his statement when he was leaving. So maybe he hasn't just felt it. Like our players haven't been feeling some of the managers that have been. So with him, I'm hoping he can get back into some of his best form. And I think it's the same for Van der Beek. He hasn't looked amazing for United, the bits he's played, but who will when you're playing hardly no football? So I think it's a good chance for them both to really make a statement. And, the team sheet looks a lot better. Well, maybe not a lot better, but it definitely looks better with them 2 as options, especially with some of the injuries we've had. And, I don't think I'd be the only one to say it. I'd be excited if all 4 of them get a start at some point in the next 10 days. If you could see them all on together, I know that's a big ask, but the way we've been performing, I don't see what there'd be to lose.
Yeah. Dawn?
I think it's been good. I mean, obviously, if I had a shopping list, like you mentioned before, I would have picked for another CDM and a centre half, because I think, Decore's out, we've got Allen, but Delph's injured again, and that position's where we're quite weak. But I know Dele Alli can play a little bit deeper, sort of in a Decore role. But like the manager, but both of those players have got stuff to prove. Van der Beek's gone to United, cost about 40 odd million or something like that. Hasn't really had a sniff. I have a worry about him, because he come from Ajax, didn't he? Which is where Klaassen come from, and he was way off the pace. Dele Alli is one of them. Well, he's got to play 20 games before we even pay anything for him, and he's only 25. When I saw that yesterday on the countdown, 25, nearly fell off my chair. He's been around forever, hasn't he? Yeah. But if Lampard can get a tune out of him and bring him back to even close to the top of his game, that'll be a right deal that we've got there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sorry, I was going to completely agree with you. I think Dele Alli is an inspired signing. I think you've got a player there who clearly, I don't know how many people watched the the Tottenham show on that prime TV where they were watching the Mourinho period of time, and he got really sort of told off once by Dyer for sulking and whatever else. So he's clearly a moody kid. And there's a clip, I think Mourinho calls him into the office and sort of says, "You're a great player, but you're up and down, and I'm not going to tell you. You've got to decide yourself." And I think that's exactly where he is now. He's 25, as you say. He's got himself a move. He's got himself a manager who wants him. He's got every opportunity now to step up and be a really, really good player. So I think there's goals in him, as you say. He can play deeper if he wants to. Really good move, I think. But for hats off to Lampard for that one. Van der Beek, yeah, you're right. Again, you looked at him when he was playing for Ajax when they got to the semi-final, which before Tottenham beat him. He looked superb. He looked really good. But then so did Davy Klaassen a couple of years earlier. The problem with the Dutch game is it's slower than Premier League, innit? And that's going to be where the challenge is. Speaking to a couple of people who go to United, the few times they've spotted him on the pitch, that's been it. It's been the pace of the game. So he may need a little bit of time, but you still can't get at the end of the day, United paid 35-40 million for him. So he's a decent player. So I think both of them are really good. As you said before, young Patterson, sort of the goal that he set up for Dobbin for the reserves with a burst up the wing and a cross looked handy. His time will come. And we're all sort of forgetting about El Ghazi, who's sort of in, hasn't he? He's sort of behind everybody's sort of line of who the new transfers are in, but he's another option, isn't he? Surely.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one, that, isn't it? Because if you could play centre midfield, you'd go, okay, he's another number, but on the wing, when you think of who we've got options wise on the wing, if everyone's fit, he's even get a sniff.
I know. He scored 10 goals the last 2 seasons for Aston Villa. Okay, a few of them were penalty kicks, but I mean, he probably, off the bench maybe. I agree with you, Dawn. If you're putting your best side out, you're probably now with having Ali and you got Richarlison on one side and man's gone blank on the other side.
And there's options.
Yeah,
options. Yeah.
Yeah, but even sort of when you look at who brought Van der Beek and you brought Dele Alli, and they're both really number 10s, aren't they? Dele Alli can play a bit deeper, so you sort of go, what formation will he play? If he's playing a 10, are you going to play 2 deeper and then the 3 and a 1? So Richarlison's been playing up front, really, hasn't he? Just off PCL, but
yeah, Damari Gray. That's who I was thinking of. Apologies, see, it's my age.
And Gordon and Townsend.
Yeah. So it is. We've got to be a little bit more enthusiastic, haven't we? Man, again, there was a 6th one, wasn't it, that struck in, and we brought some.
Yeah, there was.
Well,
apparently he's meant to be really, really good.
Yeah.
But so who've you got? You've got Lonergan, haven't you?
Yeah.
Begovic. And this young kid, but this young kid's meant to be mustard.
Yeah. I think Lonergan will go, won't he? His contract will be up and he'll disappear. Don't know. It'll be interesting to see what we do with Begovic. Or more likely, the youngster will go back out on loan for a season, won't he?
Yeah.
Well, where's the other guy? He was our 3rd choice keeper, and he came in a cup game or whatever.
Lossell.
No, dark hair.
Virginia.
Yeah. Where's he?
Yeah.
He's gone.
He went, didn't he?
Went at the start of the season, yeah.
So,
wasn't he a team who had like all 3 goalkeepers out injured?
Yeah.
And he bought him.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that. Are we still traumatised over us bringing Benitez in?
I mean, what we've got to look at, I guess, is that if Benitez was here, all we'd have been looking at today is Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, wouldn't we? And trying to make out he's a cracking sign and is going to turn our whole midfield over. So be thankful for small mercies. As much as Donny van Beek might be a bit, can he get up to the pace? It's probably a little bit, but no disrespect to Sean Longstaff. I'm sure he's a half-decent player, but no, the thought of that was scaring me.
He could be the deep midfielder we're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, the Dele Alli one, just the technical stuff to it, I think I don't know. I'll probably get shot down for praising Bill Kenwright or whoever did the deal because he's certainly still not popular on the internet. But it seemed a clever deal for a club who was struggling with financial fair play to get him for free, to not have to pay any money till he plays 20 games, which he can't play this season because there's apparently only 19 left because he's cup tied, isn't he? So he can't play any of the cup ties. In fact, both him and Van der Beek are cup tied, which is a bit disappointing for Saturday. So we won't pay a penny for him until next year. So it comes out of next year's financial fair play. So you sort of have to say, for all the criticism of the club being called fools and not knowing what it's doing, somebody's had their head screwed on with that deal, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It does look good.
Yeah,
it does look good. You know, you've seen all the things going on. Everton are paying 40 million for Dele Alli. Well, it's just not. It's just at the end of the day, it's just not true, is it? I've only seen as far as, like you said, once he gets to 20 games, they have to pay the 10 mil. As for the rest of the add-ons, I can't say a no because I don't. But I should imagine however far that is down the line, if he's playing well, it'll be worth it. If he's not, then I'm sure they'll make sure them add-ons don't happen anyway.
Yeah. Would have thought there'd be like a big uplift in performances because he's a big risk, isn't he? So for 40 million, who'd look at him right now? But yeah, I agree, Scott. I think whatever it is that the 40 million looks like, what, so many goals a season, or getting us into Europe or whatever it is, I think he'd be worth. If we start paying him, we paid the 40 million, it'll be worth it, won't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure we get to the truth anymore around these transfers because they sort of the incentives and the bonuses that make it up to 40 million. Some of them aren't even attainable, are they? And, I know a couple of Newcastle's fees that they paid are all down to them staying up for the season afterwards and whatever else. So I think there is a fair bit of sort of clever negotiation going on that makes it look a big deal, but it's not quite until for a period of time. But either way, I think, it's looking good, isn't it? We were saying at the start of the show, we're a little bit happier. We're enthusiastic going into Saturday. So what are we thinking about Saturday? Was Brentford come to visit in the fourth round of the Cup?
Yeah, they bought the upper and lower tier in the section that they get. They've only sold half the tickets, but they're not giving us the tickets back.
I mean, I saw that was 2,000 spare. Is that to do with segregation? They can't give the tickets back?
Well, usually if you think previous seasons or previous cups or whatever, we've sold one tier and then the next, haven't we? So if they haven't taken the full allocation, we've got it back for Everton fans. But apparently the rumour is, I don't know if it's the Twitter world or the guy that told me usually knows what's going on, that, they've bought them and they're not even going to sell them back to us. So,
nice.
They want
bizarre, isn't it?
The atmosphere to be rubbish.
But they would have got a bigger allocation as well, though, wouldn't he, than normal? Because the FA Cup, haven't you got to give a higher percentage, which is why we got the whole of the Annie Road a couple of years ago.
So like 15% or something like that.
10, is it? Something like that, Dawn? Yeah, you're right. So maybe they just haven't got enough to bring for 10% of our gate. I don't know, but that's disappointing now if there's going to be a bit of a gap. And I certainly saw a few people on Twitter grumbling because they've been moved from their normal seats to accommodate Brentford, and then they've not sold them. But it's you think they're expecting a reserve team? That's why they're not bothering travelling.
I don't know.
I'd be surprised if they were, because we need anything we can get really just to boost our morale, don't we? So
yeah,
I tell you what, one thing about Brentford is they can play and they're all heart. And if I supported Brentford, especially the way Everton have been playing, as I bought a ticket, as I made the journey, if you were them, you'd be thinking, let's spoil the party here, sort of thing. Well, that's what I'd be looking to do if I was them. Would you know if Ericsson can play?
Don't know, I suppose technically there's nothing to stop him. He's not like he's going to be cup tied or anything, is he? With main restrictions. And if he was on the Monday, then he should be registered.
Yeah, because I suppose he'll get a good reception even if he's just warming up, won't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Credit to him. I think it's. I think somebody said today that they'll end up making a film about this, particularly if he manages to score a few goals. And you know what? Quite rightly too. That has got to be a really great incentive to come back from what happened to him at the World Cup. Because I am assuming he has some kind of, maybe not a pacemaker per se, but something's fitted to his heart, isn't it? That gives it a kick if it needs to. So
it's a defibrillator apparently, but I think it's quite scary, like even thinking like you're mentioning, if he's playing Scott, and I think, I mean, what happens if something happens again? Because that Mwamba who happened to first, he said, I can't believe Eriksen's playing with the defib or not. Like it's because no one's done it before, have they? So no one knows like what'll happen.
No, but I should imagine now he's got that. He's going to be better equipped than he was before.
Oh yeah.
No, do you know what I mean? Though, so like if his heart skips or has an irregular beat, that's job done, isn't it? That'll just realign his heartbeat, I presume. No, it doesn't even have to stop. I think if it becomes irregular, it gets it back on a normal beat.
Right. I suppose time will tell. I mean, depends what he's been doing as well, doesn't it? Sort of, has he been training flat out, or is he going to be a few weeks off?
Because apparently he flew through the medical, like from what I read, it was great. So,
oh yeah, I mean, whatever. We know what's going to happen. 5 minutes to go, he'll come off the bench and kill one in the top corner with his first.
You can tell you're an Evertonian.
Do you think we'll see any of the two new defenders playing there, or will Holgate get anywhere near the team?
Well, I mean, not wishing to sound too horrible, but I was quite enthused when I heard there might have been a late bid for Holgate from Newcastle, but that didn't seem to come about, did it? Don't know.
We're looking for someone to replace him, I think. I heard that rumour as well, and Burnley wanted him, but I think for him to go out, we'd need another one, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I wouldn't start Mykolenko. I'm not convinced, and we like you say, Scott. We need a victory. We need a bit of confidence. We need a good performance, and it's one of them, isn't it? Like Patterson's got to get a chance at some point, but is Lampard going to do it in his first game?
It's a difficult one when you've got Wednesday on the horizon as well. You got Newcastle on the Wednesday, haven't you? Which is a 6-pointer. It will
be at home on the bounce, haven't we now?
No,
Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
No, we've got Southampton.
Newcastle.
Oh, are we? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is. It's Wednesday night, isn't it? Away.
Yeah.
Glad you said that. I thought it was Tuesday.
Yeah, so I think as much as he probably would want to, and I would, Scott, I'd want him to play his first team and go for it. Last chance of any kind of silverware. It's that Newcastle game, which I'm sure we'll cover on the next show, is massive. So you may well find Patterson gets a run out, and a couple of the others get a go. I'd be playing Calvert-Lewin because he needs the game time from what I've seen of him the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's horrible that trip. I know we're talking in advance, but that trip to Newcastle, because it's at least a quarter or half a mile from the pitch where the away fans sit. It's like you can't hear anything, but we have got a few tasty games coming up that we need to get points from.
Yeah,
that being a 6-pointer, like you said.
Yeah. So Saturday then, are you resting players, or are you just going for it, thinking the basis? Well, you are pros; you should be able to play 2 games in 5 days.
I just think, you know what, like you've got. I don't like the way people start a rubbish team, not a rubbish team, but start not your first team and then go down and then bring the better players on. I'd sooner start with a full strength squad, mate. And if you can get 2 goals up by half time, start bringing them off after 60 minutes, because I think there'd be nothing worse to go into the game at Newcastle than having been sunk by Brentford at home.
Yeah.
And you're out the cup. It's been a disaster start for Lampard. So if anything, I just think, you know what, just go for it. If Lewin gets a goal, his confidence goes up. If they play well, everyone gets a lift. It keeps the feel-good factor going, and ultimately, I think that we just need. I mean, one victory since September. More than anything, we just need to be walking home with a smile on your face Saturday afternoon, I think. fans, players, everyone involved.
Yeah.
How you doing?
It's a big one, isn't it? It makes me nervous. I'm grabbing my hand thinking about it. I'm excited to go on Saturday. I'm excited to see Lampard and stuff. But it does make me nervous because a win will make a massive difference before Newcastle and who to play. If you look at the players and go like age-wise, who can't play those 2 games on the bounce, there's only one person that I'd say couldn't, and that's probably Seamus. And then what game do you start him in? But he's played a lot so far. He hasn't. In some games he's been great. In other games where he's had a backlog of games and he hasn't had his best day at the office. But I think he's possibly the only one that would struggle playing games back to back. What do you think?
I think you're right. I mean, I'm again I'm quite happy to slip into my old man mode, but I genuinely think professional footballers, with the appropriate rest in between, should be able to play 3 games. That's none of this. I can only play 2 out of 3. Go away. It is short enough as it is. Just play it. I know you get all kinds of coaches and sports analysts and nutritionalists telling me I'm wrong or whatever else, but I'm sticking by it. At the end of the day, I think we should put our best team out against Brentford and then put pretty much the same side out against Newcastle on Wednesday. But then you have got Dele Alli and Donny van de Beek to throw in on Wednesday.
Right, the way we've been playing, I've seen someone say, couldn't we get Lampard on player manager? Give him a run out. Okay?
Absolutely.
He's probably got more legs than Alan, hasn't he?
You know what, sorry? I know we touched on about a replacement for Holgate. Obviously, if he went, you know what, mate? I believe Branthwaite was injured, wasn't he? But I really like the look of that kid whenever he's played.
Yeah.
And I know he's not the finished article, but someone to just dip in and out, see what he's about a bit more.
I agree. I think, one of the strengths with Lampard and strengths of character, I guess, is he's not been scared to play the younger players, has he? If it wasn't for him, Mason Mount wouldn't be the player he is at this minute in time, and a few others, So he's blooded them and given them the chance. And I think you're right. The times Branthwaite's played, he's looked all right. And then obviously this week, we've been looking at the signings, but Dobbins signed a new contract, which is good news, isn't it? So he clearly sees something. He clearly sees an opportunity. Ellis Sims went out to Hearts and scored on his debut. So
they made up with him.
Yeah, he can go and get a bit more experience under his belt. Young lad Williamson's come over to Tranmere, so he'll be getting some experience in the league. So there's things already. They're starting to place some players to have a little look at them with a view to, hopefully, bringing a younger team in, which you'd want them to do, Dawn, wouldn't you? I think certainly if we can get the next couple of wins that we need to get safe enough, would you have a look at him for the rest of the season?
Well, Lampard's shown, hasn't he, at his time at Chelsea, more notably, that I know of, bringing young players through, like the likes of Mount, bringing them back off loan, and Gilmore, who's at Norwich. I believe he was looking at bringing him in, but because we'd already got El Ghazi on loan, and then we couldn't get another, and he played, I don't know how many games it is, the threshold, he'd gone over that, so they couldn't recall him. But having a manager who will bring younger players through is definitely a good thing. The only worry that I have overall is the under-23s and how it's run. I think, for the rest of the season, let's just crack on and move on with it. But I'd like to see Lampard being a bit more involved with the under-23s and, maybe moving Unsworth on and bringing someone.
I believe he went straight down there, didn't he, before he took our training?
Did he?
Yeah, I already had a couple of hours beforehand, so I believe he went straight down there and got involved and was talking and fist bumping and high-fiving and got straight down there beforehand. So I think that sounds great, doesn't it, really, I suppose?
Well, the kids will look up to him, won't they? Because they'll remember him playing not so long ago.
Yeah. You want to see that coming through, don't you? There's an awful lot of money goes into the academy process and not a lot coming through compared to other clubs. And I know Unsworth has won the title a couple of times, but not bothered about winning the title. I'm more bothered about a couple of good players coming through, and we've not seen it. We lost that Thierry Small, didn't we? Who people sort of rated after Southampton, although saying that he's never played a game for them, and he probably would have got more game time for us if he'd stayed. But hey, he's made a mistake. But we do need to do it. But the players are there. I mean, again, it's early doors, but I went to watch the youth team beat Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago, and there was a 15-year-old kid at left back playing, obviously, a couple of years up in the youth team. Looked outstanding, looked really, really good. And you think, well, shouldn't we be getting hold of them and really giving them the next 2 or 3 years? You're going to do this, this, and this. So maybe Frank Lampard's going to do that.
Yeah, hopefully, because if you look at even Gordon's journey, sort of, he was in and around the first team, wasn't he, for a couple of years and never really got a chance. And then you'd say, has Benitez made him better? Well, he is better this season. Did he give him more of a chance? Well, he probably didn't give him more of a chance. It's probably the injuries that give him a chance. But
I think he had no choice but to give him it, didn't he?
Yeah, but it's good that he got that choice, but it'd be good as well, like you're both saying, that the kids are brought through a bit earlier, that are engaging with the first team players, and that chance happens because they're actually good enough and knocking on the door of the player who's nailed down that shirt to start with. Yeah. Rather than, like the likes of a Kenny that we bring through and then you realise he just doesn't cut the mustard or whatever you say.
Was the only disappointment then of this week that we didn't clear a few out?
It's hard, isn't it? I think the players, I mean, the attitudes of some of the players who say they want to stay and fight for the place, namely St. Tosin, got offered to go elsewhere, and rejected it to stay and fight for this place. Well, mate, you've got no place. Yeah, what are you fighting for? Like, what's staying to fight for what? What's he fighting? He's not going to play. He's not going to play, is he?
That was money. He gets more. If he goes to them at the end of the season, his pay is higher than if he went now, because he would have had to pay for him to go now. So it was money.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. No, it's horrible. It's horrible, isn't it? That he can just go, I'm not going, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Pay me, show me the money.
That's all it was, wasn't it? I mean, like you say,
I heard he likes the omelettes at Finch Farm. That's.
He certainly tried to dress it up, didn't he? It was Hull City apparently was interested just on a loan, and like you say, I want to stay and fight for me place. And what he meant was, I don't want to get injured. So, like Dawn says, I can pick myself up a wonderful package as a free agent when I go back to Besiktas or Galatasaray or whatever else. So, yeah, it sort of stinks, but. Hey, there's a whole new conversation around footballers' contracts, but they're so overprotected with the contracts, then so be it. So,
there's a few though, isn't there? At the end of this season, he's out of contract.
Yeah,
Delph is out of contract.
Sigurdsson,
Kenny. So you go straight away. There's 4 decent earners. Siggy must be on a good. Well, I'm assuming we're not paying him at the moment. Like,
I don't know, I mean, you look at it. If he's suspended, he tends to be suspension on full pay.
I should imagine he will be.
Yeah, so they'll just be desperate for his contract to run down. So yeah.
Well, if anything happens with all that, they should be asking for all the money back.
Well, wasn't it all adjourned again? Last couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? It was pushed back, I think. So nothing's going to happen in relation to any kind of court action until his contract runs out. So yeah, we shall see. So just to finish off, having a look around other clubs' transfers, any envious eyes? Any ones you find interesting?
There was a few. Did you know what? There was as much as people won't like it, right? I think Liverpool's done a real good thing for Nico Williams, mate. He's gone to Fulham, and the way Fulham are playing, if we had that young lad and we could loan him out to Fulham, I think that's going to be a boss move for that kid.
Yeah,
the way they do, and that's a good move for him, I think.
Was it Fulham or was it Bournemouth? I'm not sure, mate.
No, it was the other way. Nat Phillips, was it? Went to.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, went to Bournemouth.
Didn't he? Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I was looking at Liverpool getting that player that we wanted, but we couldn't ship Rodriguez out at the start of the season.
Is that same Diaz? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Apparently it stinks that though, doesn't it, about the way he's been approached or something he was saying.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those. I think another funny one was Burnley just buying another Wood, haven't they? They sold one Wood off to Newcastle, and then they just go looking for another 6'4" big centre forward, and they end up buying that Waghorst from Wolfsburg. A particular way to play Burnley, wasn't he? And like Sean Dyche is like, oh shit, another 6'4" striker, please go on.
Beep, Nick, beep.
One a week keeps David on his toes.
And sorry, don't go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the two interesting ones that I found was Barcelona want Aubameyang when he doesn't even bother turning up for training for Arsenal, and then Todd Cantwell going from Norwich to Bournemouth. Surely someone in the Prem would take a punt on him.
He looked good, didn't he? At times he looked really decent. That kid. Yeah. I was surprised like that, don't you?
Seems weird.
Aaron Ramsey, what are we making on that? I mean, tell you what, if Juventus had offered him to us for free and pay all his wages, I would have snapped your hand off.
Yeah, see, the wages would be a problem, wouldn't it? But
yeah,
if they're paying it,
they're paying the full 400 grand a week that he's allegedly on, aren't they?
That's mad. Isn't that mad?
Yeah. I know a lot of the Celtic fans are kicking off, aren't they? Sorry, Dawn, cut across you.
I was just going to say, well, why didn't we get him if the deal's that good?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on. There's something more to it, isn't there? He said he turned down other clubs, and then they've let him go to Rangers, and Juventus are paying all his wages. So the Celtic fans are going, well, how does that work? They couldn't afford him, but for the fact of getting him for free.
And getting his wages paid. It's just mad.
Yeah. And again, I know I'll be getting killed for criticising Scottish football, but he'd be massively influential in that league.
Yeah.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Someone of that quality going up there.
Yeah, he could have been our Gareth Barry. He really could. I like him. I think he's a good player. And in a couple of years, we could have got something out of him. He could have done that Gareth Barry sort of role for us for a while, but clearly Juventus did want to give us a 400 grand a week player for nothing.
I saw the press photos that they were doing on the little videos of him when he's holding the scarf up and he's like doing a fake smile.
Yeah.
But like, Ramsey, do you really want to be there? No, he doesn't. You can tell. You can tell.
This will be the last thing. Thinking this is the last time I'll be getting 400 grand a week, won't it? My next contract's going to be half at least. Yeah.
I tell you what, seemed mad, mate. The wage Traore's took.
Right.
Has he gone from 50k to 15k?
Really? Gosh.
Just wants to be in the. Apparently, his contract's 15 grand a week.
Yeah.
Where's he
I mean,
gone?
that wasn't Aubameyang taking as well for Barca to go to Barca.
15 grand a week to him. Apparently, that's what he's done.
But why?
Weather's nicer.
He's got a point.
Yeah, but it just seems mad. Like, I was saying before about people staying for the money. He's left for less money. Yeah. But I suppose he might just be a realist and go, well, I want to be over there. He might like the lifestyle better. And at the end of the day, it's 15 grand a week. But it just seems he could have got, you'd expect players to go there and get probably double what he was getting. Do you know what I mean? Not a fraction of it.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not wrong there, and I haven't read that wrong, but
it's 115 a week.
Nah, honestly, I'm sure it was 15.
I'd mad him if he's taking a pay cut to play football. And good on him, because there's a lot of people that won't do that, isn't it? They'd rather bench warm and keep the money. So credit to him for that.
It's mad that he's gone to Barcelona to do it, because you'd assume more competition for play. I know they're not in a great space at the moment. But I don't pay enough attention to them, to be honest, to know, is there going to be loads of competition? Is he taking the pay cut and he's still sitting on the bench? I don't know.
No, I think you'll walk into that team at the moment. It's really poor. They really are poor. Yeah, they're playing people who were second, third reserves a couple of years ago. They are struggling for money, Barcelona. Yeah. It makes you wonder why they're wasting a load on Aubameyang, doesn't it? But hey ho.
We should have gone for PK.
Yeah.
Give him 15 grand a week.
We were nearly in for penalty just there. The last one was with all those little rumours that Ancelotti was going to do us a favour and bung as a player, and then that Kovic turned us down, didn't he? Apparently. Yeah. So that would have been a nice extra striker.
Yeah. That's not really the position we need, though, is it? Out of everything, we definitely need someone a bit more defensive.
Yeah. Although if he was going to weigh in with another 10, 15 goals before the end of the season, even off the bench, I would have had him. It was one of those. So go on then, to tie us up. Are we comfortable with the Brentford? We're going to beat Brentford.
You were going to say Brentford win then. You were, weren't you?
I'm in default 1 win in 12, as Scott said.
Well, I tell you what, I am going to go back to being Mr. Positive and try my best, but I think it's just got to be. I think Lampard will want to make a statement, as big a statement as he can, and try and get the win and go for it. So hopefully the players do too. And I want to say Everton. Well, you've always put me off, Tom, because you always say you can't see us not conceding. But I'm going to stick to my guns and go Everton 2-0.
We always concede. Don't care who's the manager. Every manager's we've been conceding, haven't we? I can't remember the last time we had a clean sheet. I'll be optimistic and go for 3-1 to us.
Yeah. I was going to go 2-0. I think we'll win. If I'm honest with you, they weren't any good when they beat us last time round. We just were poor. Yeah. They weren't very good. And we're a bit better than we were then. So, no, I think, it's a resounding vote of confidence from the Gwladys Beat crew. Hopefully you're feeling the same way and you have a really enjoyable day on Saturday if you're going or watching it or listening to it or whatever else. So we'll be picking the bones out of it next week. Along with probably having a little look around the 6 points at Newcastle. It's a long time since we've said that. So my thanks to Dawn, my thanks to Scott, and most of all, my thanks to you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch you soon. Cheers.